Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 4, the final part for today for Wednesday, June 19th, 2013. Alright, I'm going to cover some social engineering in the beginning, then I'll get into the economy in the later half of this video. First thing I have for you is from June 4th, the global divide on homosexuality, greater acceptance in more secular and affluent countries. So you go in there and check out the chart. It says that as the U.S. and other countries grapple with the issue of same-sex marriage, a new Pew Research Center survey finds huge variances by region on the broader question of whether it should be accepted or rejected by society. So it says here, you have the Canada, 14% saying no, 80% saying yes, U.S. 33% saying no, 60% saying yes. Then you go in European nations, of course, most of them are for it, except for Russia and Poland and some of Greece. Middle East, most of them, except for Israel, are against it, mostly because they're Muslim countries. Then you go into Asia Pacific, Australia for it, Philippines, Japan, all Western friendly countries, South Korea, and then of course you go into like Pakistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, no. So South America, Argentina, yeah, big time for it. Chile is really for it. Mexico, Brazil. I mean, that had to have taken a lot to get that to change. Like saying like Mexico, but El Salvador and Bolivia are kind of on the fence there against it. And of course, you have Africa, which is why soap operas are so important, right? Illinois robocalls illustrate racial divide on same-sex marriage. So talking about Africa, right? Residents in Illinois have been peppered lately with automated phone calls urging them to help stop Illinois from legalizing same-sex marriage. The calls aren't from conservative family groups or Republican Party affiliates. They're from a prominent black pastor in Chicago speaking for a coalition of African-American religious leaders. So it says here, this is a fairly liberal area, says Representative Eddie Lee Jackson, Democrat, East St. Louis. The name target of one of the robocalls going out around the state, but when it comes to this topic, there are mixed emotions because of religion. The survey also finds that acceptance of homosexuality is particularly widespread in countries where religion is less central in people's lives. Americans less accepting of homosexuality than other Westerners, religion may be one reason. So I don't know how much they're really against it when you look at Africa and those other numbers. But Idaho GOP seeks to halt cities' anti-discrimination ordinances. So Republicans want to make local codes protecting sexual orientation unenforceable. I like how they word that stuff, you know. Pro-life. What is it? No, it's pro-choice, you know. Marion Jordan says she's not worried yet that state lawmakers will undo city laws that protect homosexuals from discrimination. Said it's a sad thing talking about institutionalizing discrimination like the government did before with segregation. It's difficult enough that these protections don't exist statewide, but an effort to actually take away the protections that have been put in place in several cities already seems extremely ill-advised. So, pretty interesting. It says it's becoming a significant portion of the Idaho population that is city by city standing up for these protections. Well, Idaho overwhelmingly is pretty conservative and semi-religious. It says here they're worried that local non-discrimination ordinances could in some cases conflict with laws protecting religious observance. It says it's been his experience that the legislature has been pretty respectful to local control, but again, if the passage of these ordinances by fiat trumps the free exercise of religion parts of our statutes, then that becomes a problem. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski backs same-sex marriage. So it's kind of like up in here. This Jordan, it's a she, right? And, you know, I'm not downing females, but they're being used, just like everybody else is being used for some kind of political, social agenda. Senator Lisa Murkowski, a Republican of Alaska, on Wednesday said she's changed her views and now supports gay marriage, becoming the third Senate Republican to do so. So this is something that is very trendy, very fashionable to support among Republicans now. How the media covered same-sex marriage during the Supreme Court deliberations. We're talking about engineering consent. following are key findings from the news coverage that conveys strong momentum for same-sex marriage report. So we know one thing, which is what? CIA owns the media and Jews own the CIA. So the mainstream media coverage provided a strong sense of momentum towards legalizing same-sex marriage, and news media stories with more statements supporting same-sex marriage outweighed those with more statements opposing it by a margin of roughly 5-1. Yeah, so look at this. You got public opinion 42 and 51, right? These are people that have been bombarded by Jewish propaganda. Look at, you got Twitter, almost semi-evenly. No, but look at this. LGBT outlets, no surprising, 64-4. Huffington Post, 62-7, and news media, 47% to 9%. So just imagine if there was actually some legitimate mainstream news out there, what these actual public opinion polls would be. Indian country torn over gay marriage. So the first thing I thought was, wow, these are two white chicks. But either way, it says here that she's a member of the Washington State Squamish tribe who knew she was gay at age 7, decided to act. She led a personal lobbying campaign that ended with her tribal council. So it says here, voting in 2011 to approve same-sex marriage, saying that I realize that I do have the power to change my situation. With more Native Americans making similar demands, the Squamish tribe is one of 3 that have signed off on marriage by same-sex couples, laws that apply only on their land. They predict more tribes will follow, giving new rights to what many Native Americans call two-spirit individuals who carry both a feminine and masculine spirit. So this is a good opportunity for me to describe my views on it, because I've actually mentioned this before. I talked about it before when I was speaking to someone who is of Native ancestry. I was on like this little Indian commune for a month. They told me straight up, and these were coming from Sioux, and they were saying that basically they had homosexuals in Native American tribes. They were very, very, very rare. They said that they were looked upon like with high reverence because they were very rare. But this is just getting ridiculous, right? Where they're just promoting it and promoting it. So, oh, she knew that she was gay at age 7. Well, was she really? Or did she have some kind of complex? God created woman for man, and when you try to rewrite creation, you can expect judgment to fall upon your people, says tribal elder Doug Emery said. He ran for the tribal council and lost in Monday's primary, but he hopes there's enough turnover in the council to scrap the law. So John Keshik III, a member of the council who voted against same-sex marriage, said the tribe should just accept the outcome. To me, it was a close vote and voted the way I was brought up. But to me, it's kind of like water over the dam. It's done. Tribes have long wrestled with the issue. 2005, one of the first votes, the Navajo Nation Council banned same-sex marriages and unions between close blood relatives. But of the 566 federally recognized tribes, the majority have stayed silent. They note that before their introduction to Christianity, many tribes accepted the LGBT as two spirits, even giving them added respect because they were thought to have special powers. But they're not going to go on there and say that they were rare. About the gay agenda after the ball, how America will conquer its fear and hatred of the gays in the 1990s. 2003, Alan Sears and Craig Ostin, president and vice president of the Alliance Defense Fund, an American conservative Christian organization, offered another characterization. It is an agenda that they basically set in the late 80s in a book called After the Ball, where they laid out a 6-point plan for how they could transform the beliefs of ordinary Americans with regard to homosexual behavior. They admit it privately, but they will not say it publicly. In their private publication, homosexual activists make it very clear that there is an agenda. It says here that they talk about, number one, talk about gays and gayness as loudly and as often as possible. 2, portray gays as victims and not as aggressive challengers. It's kind of like how they do with feminism. Give homosexual protectors a just cause. Make gays look good. Make the victimizers look bad. Xenophobic, Christian right-wing zealots, hate mongers, discriminators. Get funds from corporate America. I think they even call them cavemen, too. Discovery Channel, Breaking Amish, Brave New World, Rebecca rejected for job because of show. So being part of the first breakout season of Breaking Amish came back to haunt Rebecca in the latest episode spin-off, Breaking Amish, Brave New World. That's interesting, Brave New World. It's because, it's like, I live in an Amish town, so it's just like I could see how, the Amish, There's some things that they cannot resist. It's like they go to I see them go to Burger King near their horses and carriage and parked in Burger King or Dairy Queen. It's just like to them, they think that this is a treat for them, right? They go into their store and they buy gallons of milk. I mean, that's the brave new world. It's encroaching on their culture, on their way of life. So she was asking about getting a job at a restaurant when she was emphatically told no. You coming in here wanting to work, I think a lot of our employees would be disgusted about it because we love the Amish, was told by a waitress. We have a lot of Amish people that come in here. So Abe, who was with Rebecca, asked the waitress if she was growing up Amish. When she said that she hadn't, Abe encountered then, don't tell me how Amish live their lives. The waitress felt that as if Rebecca and some of the others on the show had disrespected the Amish community with things that they've said on Breaking Amish. Fellow castmate Kate actually had to side with the waitress a bit on this one. How fake is Breaking Amish? Jeremiah Rabber is divorced with 3 kids. Does Abe have a baby with Rebecca? And this came out September 2012, so a bunch of crap fakes, right? Discovery Channel, Amish Mafia, virtually fake. So I heard this from a Mennonite at the store. I asked last year, or it was in December, I asked her, is this Amish Mafia thing real? And she just shook her head and rolled her eyes and said no. Then you have this from January 12, 2013. If a violent group of Amish protectors exists in Lancaster County as represented on a hit reality TV show, then these Mr. Heiss and Echternach wouldn't know about it. The 2 local cops, says here, are District Attorney Craig Stedman's liaisons to the Amish community working with the local Anabaptist groups. They found 0 evidence of the gun-wielding group in Lancaster-based Amish renegades portrayed on the Discovery Channel's hit show Amish Mafia. I can say absolute certainty that what I'm seeing on Discovery Channel is an exploitation of the Amish culture. The police chief said this week, it's not a complete blatant lie, but the characterization is very misrepresentative. So it portrays the 4 as big-time criminals in Amish Mafia. In fact, they are non-Amish church members with petty crimes. I hear this a lot, from alternative media, and this is coming from Max Kaiser. The collapse of the current bankster regime is upon us. Well, they're applying Austrian economics and economic theories that would sound nice, on paper, but in reality, we have a completely rigged economy, which means that if it collapses, it's collapsing because it's supposed to, not because of some flaw or mistake by Ben Shalom Bernanke. Farewell, Ben Shalom. Thanks for inflating the biggest bond bubble the world has ever seen. So, walking out the door. This week, Obama publicly praised Bernanke and stated that Bernanke has already stayed a lot longer than he wanted to. Federal Reserve expects slower growth for the rest of 2013. So, lower growth, they're admitting that. Not going to be much job creation. I mean, the mainstream media is coming out and telling you that there's not going to be growth, that there's not going to be those jobs recovering. IRS to pay $70 million in employee bonuses despite spending cuts. Remember all those things about sequester furloughs to shut IRS down for 5 days? Well, they're going to get bonuses. Then look at this. Michael Hastings, the fearless journalist whose reporting brought down the career of General Stanley McChrystal, has died in a car accident in Los Angeles. Rolling Stone has learned he was 33. Yeah, so see, you're smart. You just wait a few weeks, a few months. Oh, a car accident. Oh. House to consider tax on new flu vaccines. So it's pretty interesting. This is 75 cents per dose vaccine tax, also to become eligible to include in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. They should just call it the Eugenics Side Effects Program. Right? The thing, of course, is that these vaccines a lot of times are bought in bulk by the government, so taxpayers are going to pay for the injuries that are carried out by these private corporations, which really are extensions of the government, right? Because they don't have liability. Jail guard, see, they turn the liability onto the taxpayers. Jail guards turn women's prison into their own personal sex dungeon. So they say it's a true story. It says numerous people are claiming that this story must be fake because it is so brutal and insane. So they say the story is legit. You can go there and check it out. But this is a new normal, right? Ohio woman accuses 3 of holding her captive. So another captive, more people held captive in Ohio. So it makes you wonder how much of this is actually going on. How much of this is run by some kind of black ops? How much is it legit? How much of it is representative of the immorality of our society at this particular time, where we abuse each other? I think it actually shows too. It's in line with the homosexuality of people being victimized, people being vulnerable, people being receptive to just taking all kinds of abuse. Thank you.